Hello, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be repairing and reweaving an old bench. It's made in the standard way straight back chairs were made. I don't know if this has a name. We have some chewed up pieces, some cracked pieces, and this seat's going. It's not staying. It's nasty, it's dirty, it's breaking up. I tried to cut it with a knife, didn't cut. Grabbed some old raggedy kitchen shears that I had that came with my knives that I don't like. And we're going to use those to cut it off. And I probably should throw on a pair of gloves, but oh well. We're going to knock it apart because it's shaky. And as I begin knocking this apart, I realized something. This isn't a machined piece of furniture. This has been hand carved because even though it looks like those rungs are round, nothing about this chair is perfectly round, or bench, or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to show you the end of a dowel. See how it's not rounded? It's been carved. And at first I thought it was pieces that had been replaced, but no, even the ones that look even more rounded than that are not rounded. And you can actually feel I guess they used a knife to carve it. You can feel the ridges from the knife in it. So at this point I decided I didn't want to sand it down and get rid of the hand carved nature of it. So I'm going to lightly sand it when I do, just enough to get the finish off. I've got my repairs, and now I'm going to putty the cracks, because some of the cracks look like splits, but they're not. It's just little cracks in the wood where it's dried out. So I'm going to putty those. I'm not going to over putty. I'm just going to putty enough to cover the cracks. We're going to leave all the homemade details intact. I've got it sanded, and now we're going to paint or stain. I was watching John's Furniture, Trina from John's Furniture, and she was using, I think, Borisol to keep the stain from going too far into the wood. So I'm going to try the same trick, but I didn't have any Borisol, and I don't know where I put the denatured alcohol, but I did have this mineral spirits paint thinner, so I figured it would do the same thing. So we're going to try it. We'll see what happens. I'm going to dampen the piece of wood, each one at a time, with this mineral spirits. And while it's still damp, before it has the time to dry at all, I'm going to put that stain on it and wipe it right back off. This is a good stain, but if you get it on there and leave it too long, it dries. It looks like brown paint. So if you don't get it wiped off quick enough, it'll be dark. So I want to do one leg at a time so that it doesn't get ahead of me. Because it's pretty hot outside, and I've got a fan on behind me, so. Not just because it's hot, but that's to keep the mosquitoes away as well. And the gnats, and the flies, and anything else that might stick its little hind end into my stained wood and stick. We want to keep that stuff away. And I'll show you what it looks like in a second after I've laid it down, and remember to stick it back to the camera. There we go. Well, didn't quite get it, but hey. And now we're going to start gluing it back up. I did mark everything as I took it apart. I put a B on the end of the dowel if it was the back, and F it was the front, L or R left or right, and 1 or 2 for the top or second rung. We're going to put feet on it, turn it over, and then we're going to clear coat it. This will be the next day, I think, after it dried. Then we're going to give it a whole nother day for it to, actually, it's going to get a couple of days because I have to work between here. So that's going to take out my working times. And you want to give it a couple days after you clear coat it for it to cure enough that it's not sticky at all. And it wasn't, even the next day it wasn't sticky, but I left it anyway. Because our reweaving of the seat, we don't want those strands to stick. And here we are. And this is called macrame yarn or thread. And I use 1.5 of the brown. And then when I get to the green, it's not going to be that much of it. I created a slip knot as if you were crocheting. Anybody who crochets knows how to make a slip knot. Then I've slipped it over that thing of yarn, and I'm going to cinch it down. And over time, it'll just get tighter and tighter. It won't get loose, so that's good. Leave your arms. Leave your yarn ends or string or whatever you're using. Leave those ends kind of long so that you have something to sew back up into the chair to hide them, so they're not dangling down, and that gets on my nerves when I do that. I should have left that brown one just a tiny bit longer, but it's fine. I had enough to weave it through, so I was good. And just start weaving it, going around and around. I was trying to find a stick to stick in the end of that thing so I wouldn't have to stand there and unravel it with my hands. Then slide it down. When you don't have that many on there, it's not going to hold real tight real fast. But once you get so many on there, it will hold a little more taut. You don't want it drum tight, but you don't want it real loose. And we're going to continue this all the way across the chair or bench until we get to the other side. Just an even layer. I won't make you watch me do the whole thing. And notice as you get more on there, it doesn't move as bad. So then you can, I'll show you in a minute that you can slide it down and take your fingers and kind of pull them. And as each one tightens back up, it'll stop moving. And you're not going to hold it with your fingers real tight because you're going to burn your fingers if you do. But use just enough pressure to make that thread move. But I'm not going to make you watch doing the whole thing. I'll cut away in a minute after you get the idea. I had to go chase down the yarn or thread or whatever you want to call it, cord. You could probably do this with that twine from the Dollar Tree if you had to, although it'll be a little scratchy on your skin if you had to sit on it. But I guess you could throw a cushion on it. And see what I mean about it? It doesn't let go after you get so much on there. It stays pretty taut. And see, as I'm running my fingers there, it's pulling, and each one as it gets a little taut will stop moving, and feels funny because it'll stop moving, then the next one will, then the next one. And after you've got it all done with one yarn or cord, see how tight it is. It's not too tight, not too loose. As I weave it, you're going to have a top layer and a bottom layer, and I'm going to pull both those layers together at the same time. You could weave the top and then weave the bottom separately, but I think it adds more strength to do it this way. Now, you're not going to fit that roll through there, so I'm going to roll off what I think, and I'm just going to go back and forth as many times as I need. Depending on how far apart you want them, you could put them an inch. I think I tried to gauge mine about 3/4 of an inch without being fully an inch. And I did pretty good because when I got done, all I had to cut off was about 2 feet worth. And you do kind of need to count your wraps. I had 226, so I put 10 strands in each separation, and then I just throw those other six, one here and one there. You don't have to count, but 10 strands was like an inch, so I figured that would look good an inch apart. And we're going to make another slip knot, which is a little hard to do when you're not actually holding a crochet hook in your hand. I'm kind of confused here for a second. It takes me a minute to remember what I'm doing. What part's the skein? What's coming from the skein? Yeah. So I had to think it through, and it took a minute. I am old, and now I've got it made. So we're going to put these all through the slip knot. And keep slipping it until it gets tight. I probably should just let a little bit more on that end too to weave it in, but it's fine. I had enough, so as long as you can tuck your ends up in there and weave them so that they're not loose and flying around, you're okay. And I was going to do it with my fingers, and I thought, I've got these wool needles. So I'm going to go get one. I should have held that still a little longer. But it's a little metal needle, and it has the end that's like the eye is a fishing wire type eye, and it's pretty big. I use it when I crochet too. You don't have to fight to get it through that eye. Now your first pass is going to be it's going to take the longest to do the first pass because you're counting 10, 10 on top, 10 on bottom. And then going down. Then I'm counting 10 and coming back up. Technically, you're counting 20, but and don't do what I'm doing. Go find a nice clean place in the house that you can throw that yarn off in the floor because I keep trying to keep it on top of that bench to keep it clean and it keeps knotting up. If you had a nice clean place to throw it out on the floor beside of you, it wouldn't be knotted up like that and you could pull it through with no problem. But I keep piling it on itself and causing it to knot up. I just made things harder. But I was too lazy to move the camera. And I'm doing a basic plain weave. Um, if you sat down with a piece of paper and a pencil, you could probably draw out a weave pattern and weave it into that pattern. It would not be that hard to do. But it's a simple piece, and I figured a simple pattern would be just fine. And yes, this first pass does seem like it's never going to end, but it does eventually. Once you get the first pass done, though, the rest of them will be a lot faster because it's already counted out, and you just stick the needle between the gaps. And you're going where you've went over and then under. On your next pass, you're going to go under and then over. You're going to do the exact opposite. And that's why you don't want to make it real tight. See how I'm pulling? You see how it's pulling them? And when I do it one more time, come across and pull it tighter, it's going to pull those down. And it's going to make it tighter. That's why you don't want it real tight on the first thread. And actually, you could have used the same color to do both, but I like the contrast, especially with this mint color, because frankly, it reminds me of mint and chocolate chip ice cream. I ordered these from Amazon, and they were pretty colors. I think the brown was 6 something, and the green was 5 something, and it's a pretty big roll. And actually, they have nice feeling. There were nice feeling strands. They're not harsh or soft. A lot softer than I expected. If my stomach gets any bigger, it's going to be up there weaving it itself. Somebody needs to quit eating bread and candy and chips. And then once you get across, you're going to go around, and then I push them up. Then you're not going to see it. After a while, I come over there and pull them back down. But and here we're on our last row. I could have went another row on the other side, and I had thought about it, but it's all right. Years ago, my mom had a chair made like this, and we had rewove the seat with macrame yarn. And then later on, the wood broke. And there was no YouTube at that time. We didn't know how to fix it, or we could have fixed it. They just threw it away because it broke. Now we have all kinds of repairs on YouTube, and now I can fix it because now I know how. So one of these days, I may try some of that cane weaving. It won't be on nothing big like a chair, maybe a small basket. And you can take your fingers and slide those green strands forward or back, wherever you put them where you want them. They're not going to move once you're done. They stay put, so they don't slide. And now I'm going to tie it off. And that needle really helped with that because my hands were wanting to cramp about that time. And once you get it tied off, you just weave in your ends and trim them off so that they're not hanging and flapping. And see how sturdy that looks now. And I'm going to take it over to the middle and make sure that it's underneath all those brown, in between the browns. And you're just going to bury it. If you're a crocheter, you already know how to do all that. We know how to bury our strands and strings and ends. And I'm going to take it down and wrap it around a couple of those green ones and then send it back into the brown again and then cut it off. Nobody will ever see it unless they're flipping your benches over and looking on the bottoms. And if they're doing that, you probably need to tell them to leave because they don't need to be at your house. They're insane. And that was what I had left. And I'm going to give you a full view, and there it is. And I hope this inspires you to repair anything you have broken within reason. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.